person have anxiety and stress. Some of them are anxious, so they thrive when they are in an environment where there is pressure or stress. It affects them. When you shout, it affects them. So they watch our body language, but they strive when you praise them, when you applaud them. They strive with music. Sing a song, you can reach them. Sing a song, get to know them, get to understand the effect of autism. So some of them, they are sensitive to touch. Some of them, they are sensitive to sound. Begin to look at what triggers them. Some of them have difficulty in sleeping. Some of them, it's a perfume. Just putting perfume can trigger. So, and you don't know the impact of that to that person. So because you don't know, and you begin, some of them, just changing their routine can throw them off. So these are things that we need to start examining, educating ourselves, helping, empowering them, encouraging them, giving them the right necessary skill for them to be able to live this life as we are living.
Hello and welcome to NigeriaReal. My special guest today founded a charity committed to supporting young people with learning disability and autism through transitional period from school to independent adulthood. I've come to really admire this man. He started a charity called REISS, which stands for Romaki International Education Empowerment Services, that was set up to prevent isolation, strengthen communities and promote healthy living and help with creating a better chance in life through focus on individual strengths. This charity, registered in the UK, received the Best Wishes letter from the Queen for its volunteering work. He's a father of three, a devoted father of three, I must say, and is indeed a humble human being. My guest is Adekunle Ogunleye. Welcome to NigeriaReal.
Thank you so much for having me.
We are really going to have a good chat. I'm particularly interested in this topic, autism. So let's start. You have three children.
Yes.
Two of them are autistic.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to ask questions and they might come across as sensitive, but yes. I want us to be real here.
Absolutely.
I really want us to be real. How early was your first child when diagnosed with autism?
He was around between 4 and 5, and he went to the play group, and during that time he was not he was playing in isolation, and so fortunately for us, the lady in charge of the play group called my wife. It's a friend of mine. They both study nursery nursing, and said, "Your son is displaying an autism symptom. You need to investigate." That was when we realized, and this was between 1995 and 1996.
So that was age 5.
Yeah.
Did you at home? Did you notice anything?
No, we because I have some passion for children, and I, as a father, I adore children, and so for my son, I did not see anything as per se that not something was wrong, because we chat, we play, all the normal things father do for a child.
Okay, so when the what was it, a nurse? When the nurse said that
she was a play group leader.
Okay, when the play group leader brought your attention to the fact that your son could be autistic, what was your immediate reaction? What was your wife's reaction?
First of all, I haven't had autism before, and it was a shock to me and my wife, and so we didn't even know what to do, and it wasn't even there wasn't any awareness as now, and so we didn't do much about it, but we were concerned, and the other thing we do is we pray.
Okay.
Because we are Christian. We prayed, and that was it.
Okay, so from
Okay, so immediately you didn't do anything. Did you go to your GP? Did you go to the hospital? What happened now? What happened then was that our son have social worker, okay, and health visitor. The health visitor, we called her and said to her, it has been brought to our attention that our son display or have a trait of autism. What do we do? And so the health visitor said she would ask the education psychologist, pediatrician, and other expertise to observe him, to do a sort of observation to find out whether truly he has autism trait. And so, and that's how the journey began. So the health visitor arranged, and we went to see a pediatrician, and they do the developmental, and the outcome was that truly he is autistic. And then the education psychologist and speech and language therapy did their own assessment, and the conclusion was that he's autistic.
Okay. So how old is your son now?
He's 24.
He's 24 now.
Yes.
You have your second son or daughter?
Daughter.
Yeah. She's 20?
Yes.
She's 20. Okay. Your second daughter is your second child, your daughter, is autistic as well.
Yes.
Okay. Did you think it was a risk, having a second child?
First of all, before we actually have Emmanuel, my son, we actually prayed. My wife and myself prayed for a child. Not that we are looking for a child, we just pray that God bless us with a child. And when Emmanuel came, it was a blessing. And then our second daughter, as at that time, my wife had just delivered Maria. So Emmanuel was just diagnosed in 1996. So there wasn't any sort of, so during the period that Emmanuel was growing up, there wasn't any trait of autism then to us.
I get you. Okay.
So Maria came in 1996. We didn't suspect that she was going to be autistic. And the normal routine of prayer and trusting God that everything will be fine. And
so she was diagnosed as
autistic.
How did your wife and yourself react to that? First, Emmanuel autistic and Maria autistic.
To be honest, both of us cried. And we were so saddened and hot. And we were looking at whose fault. Is it from my wife's side or my husband, from my side? And so we're looking at what actually went wrong. And when we look back to our family, there wasn't any sort of autism in both of our families. And both of our families they are highly educated. And so for us it was a shock. And both of us actually go through a grieving period. That it was, for my wife, it was painful. For me, it was even much. My pain was not obvious. As a man, I feel I cannot express my emotion in the presence of my wife. As a man, you have to buckle up. But deep down me, I was so broken and really, really hurt. And I know that for my wife the same.
So how long? Then you had your third child.
Yeah.
A girl or a boy?
A girl.
A girl. What's her name?
Christabel.
She's not autistic.
No, she's not.
Again, how would you say you were relieved that she wasn't autistic?
Okay. Apparently, when we had Emmanuel and Maria, we decided we were not going to have any children. We said we have enough in our plate to cater for. And being a believer, all the process that we're going through, we always pray. We always believe that whether our children are autistic or not, we believe that God is the one who gave us these children, because we actually prayed and agreed. And even when my wife was pregnant, I anoint her womb, I pray to the children, I speak to them, I was doing every normal thing as a believer. And so for our daughter, the third one, we had a lady came and said, God wants to bless us with another child. And so my wife said, no, that cannot be God. I said yes, because I believe that it is not down to me or my wife. God gives children, and who is me or my wife to say no? So it took my wife time, and I can understand where she's coming from, that she's got two vulnerable children. Then to have another one is a big risk. And so eventually God confirmed it to her. And then lo and behold, Christabel came. During that period of time, you can see some mom mocking my wife, saying she has two autistic children. How can she be pregnant and then for the third one? But because they don't know our background, and because they don't know that we are Christian and it's God given. And when our daughter came, she became a tremendous blessing, but for both of my children. And even up to now, she's a great asset.
How old is she now?
She's 15.
She's 15.
Yeah.
She's 15. Okay. Two questions that come to mind immediately. It comes across and it shows that, number one, you're a very passionate man, and you're a strong believer. Some people will sit down, some people watching this will say, okay, he's a strong believer, he prayed, but yet, two of your children are autistic. Where was God in all this?
Good question. That's a very good question. First of all, I believe that children are God-given, irrespective of whether they're disabled or not. And I don't see my children as autistic. I see them as my child. Autism is just a name. My son, Emmanuel, is my son. Maria is my daughter. And Christabel is my daughter, irrespective of whatever label. And we don't, when we're raising them up, we don't raise them up as autistic children. We raise them up as a normal child in a different way. And we pray to God to help us to raise them up. And so, in the aspect of saying that where's God in all this, I believe that as far as I'm concerned, it's not so much where is God in this, it's so much what God is willing to do. Yes, I pray that God should give me a son. God gave me a son. The son God gave me, to me, is not acceptable for me, because I want that son to be perfect. That means I'm dictating to God. My son, during this diagnosis, he's actually taught me a lot of things. Through that experience, we became bond. All the things the experts say he cannot do, he cannot write back, he cannot go out, he cannot read, he cannot spell. And I say, okay, is that what you say? I say, okay, I, by the grace of God, with support and encouragement and love, I will teach him how to write. He writes back. He said, oh, he cannot spell. Okay, we got him a teacher, begin to spell. He cannot read. We support him. And then all the synonyms of up and down, the concept of up and down. As I pray, those people tell me, stand on the table, that is on. Be under the chair, that is under. I begin to, without no expert, begin to just be real, love him, care for him, and when things are distressed, take him for a walk. And so, another thing which I also discovered is that everybody responds to love. So because my motive is not what I want my son to be, my motive was, I love my son.
That's a key word.
Yes. Because I express love, nobody, whatever they are disabled or not, you express love to, they respond. And then I celebrate everything they do. I make it big. Wow! The first day my son called my wife Mom, we both cried and thank God. To another person, they will not see it that way. But to me, I see God at work. Because God is, experts are saying, this is impossible. And through the help of God and through our own effort, God is now making something that's not possible. That is God sending us that it's not about Him. It's about God showing His glory through our circumstances.
Wow. Christabel, growing up, with older siblings that are autistic, how has she been able to cope?
Christabel has been a blessing, and They have been a blessing to her, and she's been a blessing. Christopher doesn't see her siblings as autistic. In fact, my son teaches him how to spell, even if he cannot spell. That was Manu will tell him how to spell, and because the way we brought them up, we did not relate to Christabel as special. We treat them as children. So I take Emmanuel out as I take Christabel out. I take both of them out. When they were growing up, I take them to park. We all swing together, roll on the grass, play together, laugh together, joke together. We went to cinema together, we went to bowling together, we go on holiday together. So there wasn't any room for Christabel to feel, oh, something wrong with my siblings, or oh, something's wrong. As she grows up, there was a situation where my daughter Maria, because of her hormone, she began to show traces of impatience, anger, and that. So the only person she would want to inflict that to is Christabel. But through the help of God and through the help of the church, because I believe that having an autistic child or living with an autistic child, you cannot do it alone. You need to humble yourself. It's a community effort. And I thank God for the community God places us. The church I'm going to now, Bromford Baptist Church, have been tremendous blessing. They come and babysit for us so that my wife and myself can have time to ourselves. When our children are in church and they display some traces, they don't look at, they don't stare at us, they understand. They were able to allow our children and ourselves to grow in the love of God and to really not have the negativities that some parents do have.
Africans, I mean, the Africans, how did your relatives back in Africa, back in Nigeria, how did they take it?
That's a good question.
Another thing is, do you think autism is spiritual?
Okay, all right. During my, I went to Nigeria in 2005 because I was fortunate and I'm grateful to God that I live in UK and I have my children in UK. And God spoke to me that I should go to Nigeria. He wants me to experience what parents actually go through. And during my experience, I was alarmed by the ignorance and also the lack of compassion of some of our community in Nigeria. Not all, but some. And that actually troubles me. Yes, back to your question. That we took Emmanuel and Maria to Nigeria.
You did?
Yes. And both my dad and my father-in-law were very great to them. They didn't even see them as special needs children. They didn't even see them as autistic. An experience. We were in Benin, and my son saw a mud at the backyard. She sat on the mud and put the mud on the head. And my father-in-law was very happy and said, look, maybe he hasn't seen this in UK. Look at, but we knew that he just wanted to explore. But my father-in-law took it in a positive light and even took it for granted. We were laughing and joking about it. Yes, my daughter was crying that she was not talking to them. That concerned my father-in-law. Said to my wife, is it what you are going through alone? But at that time, it wasn't that, they were labeled. They were actually taken care of. And so we are blessed I was blessed by my parents, from my parents' side, and from my father-in-law and mother-in-law. They were very good people. And all my brothers and sisters, they rally around us. They don't see us as, they have children who are vulnerable. No.
Because that's a concern. The way Africans and the black community, the way they describe autism, the way it's like they're still in denial that, look, this could be spiritual, this could be God punishing the family. What do you say to that?
First of all, when my son was diagnosed, there are certain things I know parents go through. We go through, they period of mourning, go through the period of blame, go through the period of guilt, go through the period of looking for faults. And then afterwards, you now say to yourself, you know what, you need to face reality. And for us, myself and my wife, we face reality and we say to ourselves, listen, we don't know what autism is all about. Okay, we don't want to know. So this is what we do. Our son was put in a special school. We now say, let the school be doing their home. We'll do what we can do at home. So we'll pray, we'll take an action. So, for example, for my son to be able to bath and change and get himself ready, so we will wake up early. We'll sort ourselves out, get all these things ready before he wakes up. So we are actually prepared for him. Because the moment he wakes up, everything ceases until he goes to school. So we planned, it wasn't something that we were planning, it was something that God just gave us. So we planned and we discovered that he was responding to our plan. So every sort we put in place, he was responding. Every sort we put in, we were responding. So that gave us peace of mind. And before he comes from school, we're already there, everything is set. And so we're seeing positive changes. That this guy actually, because we have a clear mind and structure, is helping him to manage. And so that gives us peace of mind. And we're able to extend and show more love. Two things that is important. First of all, love. Secondly, structure. Thirdly, prayer. And take an action. Even if things doesn't go right, be consistent. Be consistent. Be consistent. That way you'll be able to help the individual concerned and observe. So when she wakes up and we see, oh, something's not right, we observe. And from that observation, we now say, okay, what step can we take to help this young man? And now today he's 24, he's doing very, very well. Yeah. So for African parents, what I would say is this. Rather than sitting and blaming, let's quit blaming. Let's put the blaming aside. We have an issue in our hand. What is the issue? We have an individual who have a peculiar need of seeing the world. Okay, if that is the issue, that they have a peculiar need of seeing the world, get education, be empowered. Look at what autism is all about. How can you best help your daughter or your son to be able to manage themselves? One of the things I tell my wife, I said, this child is not going to be child forever, it's going to be an adult. So it was, don't start instilling, developing, because nobody out there in the world will say he's autistic. Because autism is a hidden disability. With some it manifests, with others it doesn't. And nobody would say, oh, he's autistic or she's not autistic. They will treat him as a normal person, if I can put it that way. So for African parents, it's for us to be able to take away the negativity. True, autism manifests itself as if children are demonic, but they are not. Maybe it is what they are listening because they have very high sensory low overload. Maybe they cover their eyes because they are seeing things that you and I cannot see. They are hearing voices, or maybe their sensitivity, or there are issues that they are going to. Autism is not the only thing that affects an autistic person. There are a combination of other symptoms like epileptic, self-harm, there's violence, there's other things that is combined with autism, not just one thing. So what I would suggest to parents is see an expert, observe your child, get support, take an action, and support the individual, because it's not about you, it's about that person living their life and fulfilling their potential in life.
Actually, like I picked up one phrase you use now. An autistic person has a peculiar way of seeing the world. I think that's a fantastic summary. Okay, let's debunk some myths about autism.
Yes.
Autism, is it hereditary?
No, it's not.
It's not hereditary. And it's not spiritual. It's not
not
like an atonement for someone's sin.
No.
Okay.
And also, if I can even also elaborate on that, in African setting, one Dr. Bankole did a research and said, if an autistic person is diagnosed, the first thing the parent will do is to go to a church, mosque, or a spiritualist, or they will go to white garment church. Then after that, if that doesn't work, they will now then see a medical doctor. The first person you need to see is to, first of all, is a medical issue.
Seek medical help.
Seek medical help. The medical help you're going to seek, get to know who is this doctor. Is it qualified? Find out about what qualification they have. Do they know what they're dealing with? And then after that, once you get a medical report, which is authentic from an authentic doctor, then you can then know what you're dealing with. And then from your own observation, because you don't leave everything to the doctor does not leave to you 24/7. You do. And most of our mothers have modern instinct. So you can use that skill, and fathers work, and people who believe they can support you, get support from people who can help you, and begin to work for that individual. And then take that step of faith. It's a little step. It's little by little. Our son did not just wake up and start bathing. We took him from the state. It took a while for him to brush his teeth. It took a while for him to use the toilet. It took a while for him to dress himself. It took a while for him to read. It took a while for him to use the bus, to take the bus. He's now taking the bus by himself. It took a while for him to read. So it's a slow pace, but it's a step at a time. Step at a time. Praising, loving, showing compassion. There's a slogan. Autistic person, what they need is this. Tell me, I will forget. Show me, I will understand, and I will do. They have very good memory, and most of them are visual learners, and that's why in schools they use visual things. So if a child, when I go to Nigeria all the time, one of the things I tell myself is this: I'm not going to bring UK materials in Nigeria because it's not fair. Let me use Nigerian materials, what the children are exposed to in Nigeria, to educate children and parents, because that is where they're going to live. And that's why I find it so frustrating and so unfortunate that most of our parents, which I'm not trying to blame them, take their children from Nigeria, bring them to UK or US or South Africa. The child is not going to live in South Africa or UK or US. He's still coming back to Nigeria. But if you don't educate that child in their homeland, when they get back to Nigeria, it's going to affect them. An example, we used to live in Enfield. We live from Enfield then to Romford. It affects our children, just moving them from one location in London to another location. It took them a while to adjust to the place, to adjust to the community, to adjust to the environment. In fact, even we change their school, it affects their learning and its transition. And all these children, right from 0 to adult, they are in transition, and you need to prepare them for the transition. If you don't prepare them, that's where you get into trouble. And that's why they say, oh, an autistic person is violent. No, they are not. If you look at them, yes, some of them have traces of violence, but something had happened that caused that violence to happen. And because some of them cannot communicate. You put yourself in their shoe, you can't communicate, and all of a sudden, change come. What will happen?
It's that frustration.
It's frustration. Exactly. And what would that be? Lash out. Not that they intend to, but because they cannot communicate. And that's sometimes happens to some of the autistic children.
Wow. You know, from what you're saying and from what I'm picking up, you know, an autistic person can actually do things.
Absolutely.
As long as the carer or the parent doesn't remain in denial. So as soon as you are able to accept.
Yes, as soon as you are able to accept, then you begin to put structure in place at home. So what is the structure we put at home from home? First of all, we discovered that putting system in place helps him, and it helps us. It gives us peace of mind. So that's the first thing. Second thing, okay, we now say he's going to be 7. What are the things he needs to learn? So we teach him how to use toilet. So I will go to the toilet with him. He will see me use the toilet. That's how he began to use the toilet. I teach him how to dress himself. So I put his pants, trousers, shirt on, and say, take this first. And we turn it to play. So I will wear my own, he will now wear his own. It took a while. I brushed my teeth. I showed him how to brush his teeth. It took a while because some of them have difficulty. He began to imitate what I do and start his brushing his teeth. Then from there, we went to the kitchen. So he saw me how to wash plate, he's now washing the plate. I teach him how to iron, he's now ironing. I teach him how to sweep, he's now sweeping. So parents have to take the lead. They are autistic person are not stupid. They are very, very intelligent. They are very, very, it's like a computer. It is what you put in, you get out. So if you do garbage in, so if we expose them to horror movies, to bad things, so one of these we protect our children from. We don't allow them to watch films that are horror. We don't allow them to watch things that are violent.
Very, very sensitive.
They are very sensitive and they copy. And the moment it enters here, that is it. Some of them, if in this part of the world, they swear. They see their parents swearing. You see an autism begin to swear. Why? Because they are in an environment where people are swearing. Some of them smoke. Because they are in the environment people are smoking. So we protect our children from such horror. And then we expose them to Christian things. They listen to Christian music. They listen to Christian cartoon. They respond to cartoon. We watch Tom and Jerry together. We play together. We laugh together. We walk together. We go on the park together. When we used to live in Enfield, there's no park in Enfield that I don't know. When in Romford, when they are young, there's no park in Romford I don't take them to. Because they need to experience, they need to explore, and they need adults to stretch them. The more you stretch them, the more they respond. Little by little. Motivate them, encourage them, see they're doing well. And as you see them, you want to strive.
Wow. Okay, we're still on the myths of autism. Autism is not an outcome it's not a result of a head injury.
No, it's not.
It's not infectious.
It's not infectious.
And is it curable?
It's the doctors, the medical profession and research is being ongoing.
Okay.
To even find out the causes of autism, and also to look at how it can be cured. But as now, it's not curable.
Okay.
But it can be managed.
There's a difference between being cured and being managed.
Okay. It can be managed. It can be. There's a lot of positive that you can bring out of it. It all depends on the way you look at it.
Definitely.
So if you, from our point of view, from my point of view, I've said earlier on, I don't see my son as an autistic person. So I don't treat him as an autistic person. If he does something wrong, I'll tell him, Emmanuel, you don't say this. Why? Because if you say this, this is what will happen. So it begins to, you don't swear, you don't stand on the table, you don't, and then I explain to him why. And so he begins to understand the concept. Now he's an adult, I tell him, I said, listen, if a policeman stops you on the street, you don't lash back or be aggressive. You ask them or you show them the card, you're autistic. So on the bus, when you go on the bus, don't go upstairs, sit downstairs. Show your card. So once you have been able to tailor-made, and then I give him, if you're on the bus, text me on the bus. If anything happens, call me or call mom. Or if that's the case, go to the bus conductor and say you need help. Tell them you're autistic. So those are the mechanisms we have given him to be able to manage himself. People say he couldn't, so we were managing him. When he became an adult, we gave him the skill to manage himself.
Okay. In layman's terms, how can you describe autism? What is autism?
Autism, in a layman's term, is this: is that is how an individual perceives the world in a different way, so they see the world from a different perspective. It's not from they can't. One of the traces you will know is that some of them have social communication. They can't imagine. They find it difficult to communicate. They find it difficult to imagine things or to be creative. They don't know boundaries. It's like somebody who is a Russian, lived in Russia, and you now bring them to UK, or you bring them to Adekunle and say leave. So that's just how autism is.
Okay, there are different types of autism.
Yes.
Different types of spectrum.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a spectrum, and what does that mean? It means that no one autistic person are the same. The way autism affects my daughter is quite different from my son. The way autism affects my son is quite different from every other person. So autism, because it's spectrum, it is difficult to cure and it's difficult to manage. It all depends on each, looking at each individual in a unique way, and looking at how this individual, how can we get through this individual. So some of them, it may be through cartoon. Some of them, it may be through book. Some of them, it may be through IT. Some of them, so you need to look at each individual and look at what is the entrance to this person and how can I reach this person.
You are so passionate about it. Am I right in saying you have taken some diploma or you've taken some courses on autism?
Yeah.
What led you to do that? Is that for you to know more and to be able to put, to be able to manage your children and why did you go that route? Because not all parents would
do that. Yes, thank you. One of the things I've said earlier on that God led me to go to Nigeria. And in my traveling to Nigeria, I discovered that quite a lot of people are setting up settings, doing things that are, if it isn't called, they'll be put to jail. The way they run their setting, yes, to the best of their ability. Some of them are doing a fantastic job. I cannot knock that up. But there are some who set up things they don't know anything about. And it is those people who are taking children who are autistic and collecting money from their parents and not actually understanding what you are dealing with. That really hurt me. And then secondly, I discovered that as a parent, I need to know more. We run the coffee money here in UK, and what led us to run the coffee money was that we find out from the ethnic minority that some of our parents, some of them live in denial, and some of them don't live in denial, but they don't know what to do. And so from the coffee money, we begin to share experience, invite experts, and for them to be able to know how to manage their children. And so from there, I was a school governor in an autistic school, and there I understand better how school runs here, which are specialist school, and how they set up their curriculum, how they introduce intervention from early years to secondary and further education. And I said to myself that in order for me to be able to help parents in Nigeria and to help parents anywhere in the world, I need to educate myself. And so, and I prayed, and the Lord said, you know what, you need to go for a course. And I applied, and I was accepted. And from the course, there are some things I thought I knew, but from there I discovered quite a lot, and it has really increased my passion to be able to give the right information to parents in order to support children. My children are adults now, young adults now, and even in this country, when they become adults, it's much more challenging. When they're children, it's even more difficult. So for them to get employment, for them to be stimulated, for them to have a sense of purpose, it's very challenging for parents. And and parents they fight for the children. Now they can't fight anymore. And so that led me to educate myself and to do research upon research, both in Europe, in Canada, in US, and in Africa, to look at the issue of autism and to be able to look at the best way to intervene in a cost effectively, not overburdening the parent, most especially from the African setting, looking at Nigeria, for example.
You set up REISS,
Yes.
Roman Key International Education Empowerment Services.
Yes.
That's a charity organization.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Okay. REISS was set up in order to help parents and also to support young adults into various aspects of their life. What led us to set REISS was that we discovered that we're focusing from the ethnic minority and saying, look, our community are lacking behind in the aspect of autism, and we are failing our children. And I believe that God has put myself and my wife in a very good position in order to support our own children and also to use that to bless other parents. And one of the things we first of all discovered was that during this time when we were running the work, coffee money, we find out that most of these parents actually go to church. But the problem is that when they go to church, some churches in this country will not accept the children.
Some churches do not accept children?
Yes. And if my memory serves me right, I wrote to about 5 or 6 pastors there, telling them they did not respond to my letter. I called them, they did not respond to it. And but there's a church now who accept autistic children. They go there and they attend service there. But I don't know now whether that has changed. But some of our churches, when in 2005, 2006, that was not the case. But there are some churches now that are changing.
Let me ask you, what is the respectable way of relating to autistic children? How would you, for instance, if I find myself in an environment where there's an autistic child or the autistic, what is, because I know there's spectrums and I know that, but how would you advise me, for instance, on how to relate to a child that is autistic?
All right. If a child that's autistic comes in, one of the things we first do is you don't rush or try to meet the child. You can ask the parent or the carer, what's his name? So if you say his name is Olu, so Olu may not look at you, but Olu is hearing you. Say, hello Olu. So you understand it this way. It doesn't mean he doesn't hear you, but he has difficulty in eye contact. How do you do it? You give him one word. If Olu is verbal, say, I'm fine.
If Olu is verbal?
Yeah, there are some autistic people who are not verbal. There are some autistic people who will only speak when they want to. So like my daughter, she's a choice speaker. So my daughter will say, Dad, I want snack. Because she wants snack.
And what about Emmanuel? How would Emmanuel?
Oh, Emmanuel, that's it. Emmanuel can speak. Emmanuel express himself. But it is when you now go to deep conversation and you rush the conversation, you will lose him. So you need to pick your words.
So with relating to an autistic person, you need to be patient.
You need to be patient. You need to give them time to respond, because also sometimes when you speak to them, it takes them time to process that message. So you give them some time to respond to you. It's not that they don't want to respond, they're just processing that information in their mind.
Wow. And obviously from what you've said, every autistic person is unique,
yeah.
It's different. Okay, relationships. Your son, Emmanuel, is 24.
Yeah.
Is he aware of the opposite sex?
He does. One of the reasons why we set up a youth club,
okay,
and the youth club was started almost 5 years ago. And the purpose of the setting up of the youth club was that God laid it upon my heart that teenagers, they go to clubs, they go to youth clubs, they do things, they go to bowlings, they develop friendship, they talk, the normal things teenager does. But that is not for a young adult who is autistic. And so the Lord laid upon my heart to bring young people who are not autistic and young people who are autistic together in a youth club. And so thank God for Rockford Baptist Church, share that vision with them. The youth of that church volunteered for the youth club, and then I have some autistic young people. They came, we train these young people, we tell them what autism means, talk about this, behavior management, we talk about they can be violent, so the young people who are volunteering was thoroughly trained. And then I and myself and my wife were there, and other volunteers were there. Mm-hmm. And so we started the youth club. And lo and behold, to our surprise, those autistic people respond to their age mate as friends, not as a carer. Mm. And so they responded, they talk, they interact, both female and male, and they were talking on the platform of friendship basis. And so that in itself is to, first of all, help those young people to see that not every autistic person are violent, and there's nothing to be scared about. And so for the autistic person, is also give them an assurance that, you know what, I can develop friendship, I can develop relationship, I can talk, I can be free, and none of this, my mate will judge me. So if they clap their hands, the young people will just, it's normal. They're in a normal setting. And so that way, it begins to diffuse. So it helps the autistic person to become more confident, and they start thinking and processing things. And even when they say things wrong, those young people say, oh, you don't say that thing. You don't say it that way. This is how you say it. And so that's how relationship began. And the youth club now is going to be, is about 5 years now. And my daughter, Christabel, gained an admission to a school called Francis Basil Academy. And in year 7, the religious teacher was teaching her and said, oh, I have an autistic club in this school. And the reason why is I have an autistic son. So my daughter began to cry. And I said, why? And my daughter said, well, my dad runs a club in Romford Baptist Church, and it's for young adult with autism. So the man said, oh, I need to meet you. So we met, and thank God he's a Christian, and he now linked us with the school. And so the sixth form of that school volunteers in the youth club every Saturday. And this year we have 18 young people who are volunteering, and we have the youth club, we have 27 on our register, and in one particular day about 10 or 12 comes depending on when they want to come. And in 2014 we designed a leadership program for young volunteers who come to the youth club, and we say to them, listen, you sacrifice your 3 hours on a Saturday to come and work with us. Okay, this is the qualification, leadership qualification accredited that we give you for your sacrifice. And one of the young people wrote to the Queen, and
just about to come to that.
Yeah, wrote to the Queen and said that this is what I do, this is what we are doing. And on the day of graduation, I got a letter from Her Royal Majesty the Queen, acknowledging the work I do. I'm passionate. But if it's only just one autistic child or young person that comes to the club, we'll still open, because I believe that makes a difference in the life of that young people and their family. And autism is not just about an individual, it's about the family, it's about a dad, it's about a mom, it's about grandparents, it's about auntie, it's about uncle. And not one single person, not one single parent can handle uncle. It's a community effort. The church have a role to play, the parents have a role to play, the school have a role to play. It's a society thing that we need to handle and collectively, as a society, deal with. And that's what I'm encouraging our Nigerian community. We have compassionate people in Nigeria. We have people who are compassionate to speak. I want to speak to the compassionate side. Those who are pastors, ministers, leaders, whatever you are. People that are autistic needs you. One thing that touched me when I was a school governor in my daughter's school, there was this man, he's a billionaire. He sacrificed every Friday to come to my daughter's school. He will wear short trousers and play with these children. Take them to places that they can never go. Pay for it with his own money. Sponsor these children. Support the school. And that is what I believe we can do in Nigeria. I am passionate about Nigeria. I am passionate about children. I am passionate about family. I thank God that I have my children in UK, and I want, my greatest vision is to set up an autism village in Nigeria, and to show families that yes, you can write them off, but I, from my own experience and from what I've done in UK, don't write those children off. Microsoft is employing autistic people. Google is employing autistic people. The nation of Israel set up a unit because of their attention to detail, autistic people, to manage their navigation in Israel army. 900 young people who are autistic. So we are losing as a country in Nigeria, because autism, though it has its own challenges, great challenges, which I'm not going to undermine, but it has great potential if we do it right. And I can assure you, there are a lot of Microsoft, there's a lot of intelligent artists and expertise in those young children, those children that you have, and you say they are nothing, they are something. If you can all come and play a role in their life.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you and your wife, do you still have your moments when you're down? How do you take a break? How do you manage your life generally?
It's one of the things we do as a family is that we ensure that during the holiday we all go to the holiday together. And what we do is that all our three children, they go on separate holidays because we want them to be independent. So Emmanuel have a scripture union holiday that it goes to for 1 week. Christabel goes to another scripture union. Maria goes to another Christian union holiday for 1 week. So once everybody is back, we now go on holiday as a family. And then my wife and myself, we have time to ourselves. So once they're on holiday. So it's something that parents have to just plan and put as part of their structure, because when our children was diagnosed, and one of the things we do during the coffee morning was we run a class for parents who are autistic. It's called Caring in Confidence. And this course covers all areas of care. It covers looking after yourself, it covers who to contact, it covers everything about it. There are 6 topics that it looks into, and even managing your money, managing your emotion, having friends, having mental time, who you can ask to come and help you when you are overwhelmed or drenched. And so parents need that. They do need that, because if you are not healthy, you can't take care of somebody who is vulnerable. You need to be in good health. You need to be a sound man. You need to be strong and be bold for the vulnerable person you are caring for.
Briefly, we are coming to the end of the program. Briefly, what, if there's to be an advice or a tip you give to a family that has a child that has just been diagnosed diagnosed with autism, what advice would you give that family?
Okay, first of all, get a doctor, a professional, qualified, competent doctor to assess the level of autism, because it can be mild autism, it can be, and also there's another part of autism which is Asperger's syndrome, which are high function autism, but they don't. They are very high functioning, specialized, but they can do other things. So you need to first of all find that out. Once you know that that is there, secondly, pray. Come together as a family. Thank God for that child, for that individual. Thank God for it, and begin to now observe that individual. What makes this person? How can I reach this person? By observation. Show love, show compassion, be patient. It's going to take a while. I would say it's an adventure. Why not join it? I have been enriched through my children's experience, greatly enriched. It has brought a lot of things in me and my wife that we have never ever thought of. We have met a lot of people, and even through this program, it is part of the blessing. So look at autism from a positive point of view. Yes, there's quite a lot of negativity, but I can assure you there's a greater possibility, positive aspect of autism. And I can say from my own, when I look at my daughter now, who's 20, and I look at my son, who's 24, I thank God for the achievement they have made. I don't compare my children with other children. I don't compare them with their age mates. I let my children strive in the level where they're good at. And my son is good in music. He can play keyboard, he can play congo, he can play drum sets, and he's learning and can read music. He does sign language, he loves computer, he loves worship. He's multi-skilled. And whereas my daughter, she's good in dancing, she's good with her hand, she's good in cooking, she's good in coloring, she's good in crosswords, she's good in listening to music, she likes cartoon. Rejoice.
Okay, final question. If you were to think back at the very first time your son was diagnosed, that was almost 24 years ago.
Yes.
What advice would you give yourself? Just thinking back, bearing in mind all the your experiences.
First of all, I would get help. I'll get medical help. I would equip myself with knowledge. I would love myself, love my son, love my wife, I will appreciate people around me. Second, also, I would now say to myself, I don't know what I'm dealing with. I'll be honest with myself. I would listen to professionals, good legitimate professionals, and do my research. And through my own experience and observation, I will start putting structure in place for my son. And then I will take a risk. I will do all the things I know I can do best that will suit and help my child, and begin to just work with him and educate myself and learn through the process. I will allow my son to teach me. I will not be assumptuous. Through my observation and my love and my care, I will show care for him and genuine love, and also give him time to grow as I am growing. I will not over expect too much from him, but encourage him to progress in his own pace. And I will not set him up and compare him with his age mate or colleague. I will accept him for who he is, but love him and encourage him to try.
Wow, that was absolutely fantastic. You were telling me a story about your experiences with an African whose son, a mother who had an autistic son.
Yes.
I would love you to share that story with with viewers and listeners.
I've done the process of my visit to Nigeria to support parents. This mother came to one of my workshops in Abuja, and she was looking for transportation back to central Abuja. And we were talking, and she was saying to me that it is maybe because of his son, God sent me to Nigeria. And I said, why? He said, this son of his, he took the boy to a place in Niger to cure autism. They killed 10 dogs.
10 dogs?
Yes. Used the blood of the dog to bath this child to cure autism. The boy was not killed. Took the child again to Benin Republic. Met an herbalist. The herbalist began to beat the boy to coma. The boy was not killed. And eventually, when she now heard that I was in Abuja, she came to the workshop, and I began to tell her that autism is not, I begin to tell her that autism is not curable, but it can be managed if the parents get the right information, the right support, and begin to put those information in place, and then look at their son or the individual and begin to look at how best we can support them. And it's not just one-off. Also, there was an experience in Minna where a parent also were looking for help and support for their children, and they follow the same process. So it's becoming a pattern that if we don't understand a thing, the first point of call is to go to an herbalist. And I think we need to diffuse from that. We need to start the process. Is this a medical issue? Let's seek medical advice. Let's get good medical information. What other things can we do? Let's look at the individual. What are they good at? Let's start from where they're good at. Let's look at their strengths. What is their weakness? How can we help them to manage areas that they are struggling with? I don't want to call it weakness. How can we support them? That's what they need. An autistic person is crying out, help me. I don't know how to live your world. Teach me how to live this world for me. Teach me how to talk. And I think that's what I've challenged most parents. Most of our children, they copy. For an autistic person, they don't have the ability and stability to copy. So what we need to You need to teach the child how to eat. You need to teach them how to talk. You need to teach them how to play. You need to teach them how to socialize. You need to teach them all manner of, and that takes a lot out of you. So it's parents who are willing to humble themselves, they're willing to bend the knee and be proactive. Getting a house parent will not help you. In the Nigerian society, we just dump the child. Or some children are being locked in. They are not being fed. They are not being catered for. And it's an abuse. And it's unfortunate that we have that mindset. I know, yes, autism is a shame. But autism, from my end, is not a shame. It's a medical thing, like cancer, like any other disease, which people are looking to damage. Will you lock a cancer patient in? So, for an autistic child, they may manifest some traces. Those traces is for us to say, why? Why is my child covering their ears? Why are they covering their eyes? Why is eating difficult for them? Why are they tiptoeing? Why are they screaming? Why are they anxious? An autistic person have some of them have anxiety, some of them have stress, some of them are anxious. So they thrive when they are in an environment where there is pressure or stress. It affects them. When you shout, it affects them. So they watch our body language, but they strive when you praise them, when you applaud them. They strive with music. Sing a song, you can reach them. Sing a song. Get to know them. Get to understand the effect of autism. So some of them, they are sensitive to touch. Some of them, they are sensitive to sound. So begin to look at what triggers them. Some of them have difficulty in sleeping. Some of them, it's a perfume. Just putting perfume can trigger. So, and you don't know the impact of that to that person. So because you don't know, and you believe, some of them, just changing their routine can throw them off. So these are things that we need to start examining, educating ourselves, helping, empowering them, encouraging them, giving them the right necessary skill for them to be able to live this life as we are living it.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.